Have you ever seen those incredible ads that say things like, doctors hate this one weird trick? They're appealing to me because I love marketing, but also I think it taps into the human nature of thinking there's a shortcut to do something that just hadn't been found yet. And if we could just find this shortcut, we too could be looking like we're 18 years old at 48 years old, and doctors hate this one weird trick. Now, I have been really frustrated doing some of the research on some of my family members. I think a few of them must have gone into the witness protection program because they literally have disappeared off the face of the earth. No documents, no records, no photos. And yeah, I know that they are in the family tree. Some people talk about the brick wall for ancestry, and I think they talk about like this, like you're researching, it's working, and suddenly you hit a brick wall. And they're like, how can we climb over the wall? I'm like, how can we break that wall down? And so I think you need a mix of traditional and non-traditional approaches sometimes, because it's not one size fits all when we're looking for missing ancestors or missing family stories or parts of the puzzle. You just do not know where something is hiding. So today we're going to venture into the fascinating world of genealogy brick walls. And let me preface this by saying I am not a genealogist. Genealogists, of who I have worked with, and they're incredible, what they're doing is like an art and a science. They have their techniques down, they've got their software, their databases, their spreadsheets. It's kind of, I don't know, some kind of weird genealogy sorcery that they conjure up, and they can figure things out. And I want to tell you, there are a couple of genealogists who I really respect the work that they do, including my cousin Alex of Alex Genealogy and Amy Cross, who did a lot of work with me, which I'll be bringing her on here as well. Like, they're amazing. And I'm not disputing their methods because their methods work. However, sometimes I want to try the one weird trick. And so I'm going to share some non-traditional approaches that I have used in my own research and that I actually include in my Be a Good Ancestor workbook. And I'm actually going to be pulling from 2 of those pages today, and I'm going to leave a link for you to download 2 of those pages for free. The workbook is a 40-page workbook that I put together that comes with videos and kind of help you through the process of preserving your family story. Information on how to download those 2, and I'll be referencing them in this video. The first problem that a lot of us come into is we have no one to talk to. We want to figure something out in our family history, and we have no one to talk to, or no one will talk to us. So the first thing I suggest is brainstorming old friends of the family, old neighbors, the people who've been in your family's life who aren't actually family. Maybe they show up every year to Thanksgiving and nobody knows where they really came from, but they're always there. You know who I'm talking about. And when you reach out to them, you want to have something that I call my elevator pitch. And it sounds kind of cheesy, but the elevator pitch, I talk a lot in my workbook about, but basically it's like your 1 to 2 sentence thing that you know by heart that you can just say to people to explain what you're doing and how they can help. And I get into that more in the workbook, but when you reach out to people that way, you're not kind of reinventing the wheel with every person you talk to. And what I love about this approach of reaching out to the old family friends and neighbors, it's just the authenticity of this. These are people who have seen your family probably at their best and their worst. And there's a narrative richness that I don't think a database can really capture. So the interaction can be as organic as a phone call, a letter, Facebook. We're going to come back to Facebook later in this video though. And when you make that connection, don't underestimate the power of a well-crafted elevator pitch. So the next non-traditional route that I like to do is Google. Google is the digital Swiss Army knife that can either solve your problems or create new ones, or maybe a little bit of both. But the trick is in the details. So specific keywords related to your family's name can yield surprising connections. So maybe an old newspaper clipping that's been indexed shows up, or a forum post of someone who's tracing, lineage that's strikingly similar to yours. It's like a modern day treasure hunt, but the treasure could be a digital breadcrumb that leads you to another breadcrumb that leads you eventually to this lost ancestor or the information you're looking for. I have uncovered some really great leads this way, also some terrible ones, but I've uncovered some really great leads this way. And usually it brought me the databases of information that I didn't know existed, so I didn't know to go look through them, or I would come across the database. I didn't even know how to navigate once I was inside. So what I would do is, for instance, when I was researching my great-grandma, literally I would type in her name in parentheses and see what comes up. Now, because of all the work I've been doing, if someone looked her up, there's a lot of stuff out there on her. But when I first started, there was very little, but there was some. So maybe you'll find gold, or maybe you'll end up on a wild goose chase, but the point is to search and see what comes up. So let's get back to Facebook. Facebook is another interesting paradox. On one hand, I hate it. On the other hand, though, it is kind of like the modern epicenter of social connections, unfortunately. So maybe among those memes and cat videos lies the key to your family's past, or someone who could tell you where the key is. So searching your family's name, or whatever surname of the family that you're researching, plus a location or an event, can reveal a community page or a distant relative that is related. I also have semi-stalked / researched. You can use those terms interchangeably when you're doing genealogy. Cousin matches from Ancestry, look those people up because I knew that we were related, and that has given me people to message. I've literally I've cold messaged probably 100 people or more. And I would say that you've got to have thick skin because you're not going to get a response most of the time. But when you do, it can be incredible. I've connected with so many family members because of Facebook, which who knew that there could be some good that comes from Facebook. If you still can't find anything on your family, this is a little bit more of a traditional tip, but you don't want to underestimate the spelling of the family name. So brainstorm every possible variation of your family's surname. And I'm talking about come up with the most ignorant misspellings that you can, because the enumerators, when they worked on the census, some of these people, like, they really should not have been working to take the census records. And also our family, when they were giving information, I know for my family, a lot of my family didn't go to school and they couldn't read, they couldn't write, they didn't know how their name was spelled. They were just saying it, sometimes with a heavy accent. So for instance, my grandma, or my great-grandmother's last name was, we were told it was Perot. It was P-E-R-O-T. Okay, we go to Louisiana, well, that side of the family, some of them pronounce it Perot. Okay, well, spell that. And then some of the other cousins, they had the last name spelled totally different. It was pronounced Peralt. I've seen Pere, Parrot, like literally just any weird thing that you can think of. So family members who I thought were gone, they were there. Their last name had just been butchered beyond all belief. Another tactic that I think is probably still, it skews more traditional, is to look at the geography of your family story. So locations where your family lived aren't just dots on the map, right? But they're historical contexts, teeming with clues, local archives, community pages that were made in 1999 and haven't been updated since then. They're still good. It can all add shades and dimensions to your understanding of this missing family member or missing part of your family. Even online, I've seen plenty of local archives where they're throwing up family photos and there's no name, no date. Even taking time to go through some of those pictures and see if there's a face that you recognize. Now, obviously that only works if we're talking about more recent ancestors, but it's worth a try. I've also come across some really great websites of amateur and professional genealogists who have done a ton of research on someone that is a part of my family, but like we're kind of distantly related. And so they're doing this huge type up with sources and footnotes and photographs. And maybe we're related because I'm related to the sibling of the person that they're typing up, but my family is going to show up in their work. So again, you cannot underestimate the power of Google. So if you're interested in working through these 2 worksheets on your own, I will leave a link below for you to download them totally free, just to get a flavor for the way I set up and designed my workbook. And if you're interested in the entire workbook, it's 40 pages and it has 5 videos that guide you through this process. So it's like we're doing it together. And I'll leave a link to that below. Tell me about your brick wall ancestor and we can commiserate together.